believe in monsters, well neither do I. But I heard a story almost made me cry. It happened in the woods in the middle of the night.
Hey guys, today's story is Lady in White. Fine. This story comes from Japan. Two woodcutters were on their way home late one evening. One of the woodcutters, Masaku, was an old man. The other, Mochi, his assistant, was 18 years old. The weather was very cold, and it started to snow. The woodcutters had to cross a wide river before they reached their village. There was no bridge on the river. The only way to get across was by using a small ferry boat. When Masaku and Mochi reached the river, they found the boatman had gone for the night. He had tied his boat on the other side of the river. What an asshole. The woodcutters could not cross the river that night. They decided to take shelter in the ferryman's hut. There was no heat. Still, the two thought themselves lucky just to be out of the wind on such a night. The storm was growing worse by the moment. Old Masaku fell asleep quickly. Mochi was cold and uncomfortable. Suddenly, Mochi was awakened by a blast of icy air. Someone had opened the door to the hut. The snow was blowing in his face. Then he became aware of a figure of a woman standing in the room. The woman was dressed all in white. She was leaning over the old man, breathing on him. Her frozen breath looked like white smoke. The woman then turned to Mochi. He tried to get up, but he could not move. He tried to scream, but he was unable to make a sound. The woman leaned closer and closer to him. Mochi could see that she was very beautiful, but there was something about her eyes that terrified him. The woman stopped and looked at Mochi. She smiled and then said softly, "I was going to kill you, just like I killed the old man, but you are very young and you are very handsome. I feel sorry for you. I am going to let you live, but if you ever say a word about what you have seen tonight to anyone, even your own mother, I will know. Then I will kill you. Remember what I said." The woman turned, walked through the doorway, and disappeared into the snow. As soon as she was gone, Mochi found he was able to move again. He rushed to the door but could not see the woman, nor could he find the footprints in the snow. He began to think it had all been a dream. He went over to Masaku to tell the old man about his dream. The old man did not move. He was cold and dead. It had been no dream. The storm let up by morning. When the boatman came to his hut, he found Mochi unconscious next to the frozen corpse of the old man. It took Mochi a long time to recover from that terrible night, but he did not forget the warning that the woman in white had given him. He did not say anything about what he had seen or thought he had seen that night. After a few months, Mochi went back to his job of woodcutting. Every morning he went out into the forest. Every evening he made his way back to his village. One winter evening, about a year after the night in the boatman's hut, Mochi met a girl on the road. She was tall, slim, and very good looking. Damn! Since they were both going in the same direction, Mochi and the girl started talking. She told him that her name was Oyuki. She was a poor orphan and she was looking for a job as a servant. The more they walked, the more charmed Mochi became. He asked Oyuki if she was married or had any plans to be married. She replied, no. By the time they reached the village, Mochi had made up his mind that this was the girl he wanted to marry. He took Oyuki to his house to meet his widowed mother. She was also charmed by the young woman. And so, as things turned out, Oyuki never went any farther looking for a servant's job. She remained in Mochi's house and became his wife. Lazy bitch. She was a very good wife. When Mochi's mother died 5 years later, her last words were praise of her daughter-in-law. As the years went by, Oyuki bore Mochi 10 children, 5 boys and 5 girls. Damn! They were all unusually tall and strong and all very light like their mother. At first, the people in the village were suspicious of Oyuki. They were country people and suspicious of all strangers. Finally, they came to accept her, even to admire her. Still, they knew she was different. In the village, life was hard. After a woman had a few children, she aged. She began to look like an old woman. But Oyuki had 10 children and had not aged at all. She looked just the same as she had the day she entered the village for the first time. The night after the children had gone to sleep, Oyuki was sewing by the lamplight. Her husband looked at her. For the first time, he noticed something. "You know," he said, "seeing you there in that lamplight reminds me of something that happened to me a long time ago. It was before I met you. I was only 18. Without lifting her eyes from her sewing, Oyuki said, "Oh, tell me about what happened." Mochi then told her about the terrible night in the hut. He told her about the woman in white who had bent over him, smiling and whispering. "As I remember her, she looked very much like you do now," he said. "Of course, it was all a long time ago, and it may all have been a dream." Oyuki threw down her sewing. She rushed over to where Mochi sat, leaned over him, and shrieked in his face. "It was I! And I told you that I would kill you if you ever said a word about it to anyone. If it weren't for those children asleep in there, I would kill you this moment. Now you have better take very good care of them. If they ever have a reason to complain about you, I will know about it, and I will treat you as you deserve." As she screamed, her voice faded off into a howl, like the wind, and she melted away to a white mist that disappeared through the chimney. She was never seen again. Well, that was a chilling tale. What a crazy bitch. I knocked her out if she got in my face. Well, that's Oyuki. Well, this is what she looks like. And if I ever meet her, I hope this is what she looks like. Well, that's the story for this week. Now I'll leave you guys with the babe of the week. Rafa? Y esta mamasa de la semana es Kelly Hu. Llega de Hawái, tiene 42 años, es actriz y modelo. Ha estado en 25 películas. Pueden encontrar a esta mamasa cada semana en el programa de Vampire Diaries. Ahí nos vemos en la próxima episodio.